Happy birthday to TTA. Yes, well, you come to the right place. If you start up, you're looking to boost up your size or doing well or make it in TTA as place to be. We'll only do one thing. Our expertise is very easy. We help the local startups and connect them to the globe. And you are outside Taiwan, will bring you to Taiwan because we do have a very friendly environment for startups. Since we're doing so good at it, this is our 5th year. Starting from now, we're going to do the driving force innovation for your scale up. In the meantime, you create more stuff. So congratulations, you come up to the right place. In the our new topic will be tech startup, scale up, and go global. And now we do have an expert going to share his everybody, and he's our very, very big time keynote speaker. His topic will be startup success, scale up strategy, cultivating innovation DNA, presented by VP of Engineer at Qualcomm Technology Licensing, one and only Septino Roy. Mr. Roy, the party's yours.
Thank you very much. So happy birthday, TTA. I wish you another 5 years, 15, 20 years of wonderful life, right? So Director, TTA, ITRI, NSTC, startups, thank you very much for inviting me to speak about a topic I'm very passionate about, really supporting startups. I'm Sudipto Roy. I'm a Vice President of Engineering at Qualcomm based in San Diego. And I probably have one of those at Qualcomm, which is working with startups globally. And for my topic today, which is to share some of our ideas startups can scale for success, I will borrow heavily from startup incubation that we have done in Taiwan, in Vietnam, India, and region coming up that I'll keep for later in my presentation. Why does a company like Qualcomm and work with startups? Well, it's because of our roots. The company was formed nearly 38 years ago, and it was a startup. MediaTek came up and said, MediaTek was a startup. Qualcomm was also a startup. But Qualcomm did not start out as a semiconductor or a licensing company. It was by university professors who had a very simple mission. They said, use good engineering principles to do end-to-end system design, just ASICs or not just phones, but the end-to-end, the network design, the complete design that is required for digital communications. And that early professors, that research DNA survives even today. In the first decade of our life, we focused on bringing the cellular industry world to the digital world. And when we did that, we realized that you can actually carry data wirelessly. And when you can carry data wirelessly, process it. And when you process it, then you realize that, oh, I need to do interesting things like video or play games. And there you know, that's how the smartphone industry began. So the second decade of our life, we spent our engineering efforts in coming up with effectively what's a pocket computer in your purses, in your pocket. And this last decade, particularly with the advent of 5G, we're focusing on bringing this magic of wireless communications, energy-efficient computing, and edge AI, AI on the edge, practically to every industry in the planet. So we are in automotive, we are in IoT, we are in many, many industries where the confluence of these three technologies are extremely relevant. But innovation is the key. It feels like Qualcomm, we are reborn every year. It's like the phoenix, where we have to look at the technologies of yesterday and say, how do we innovate? How do we bring technologies? So this kind of rebirth is like an annual phenomenon. I literally mean it when I say that it's like the phoenix, right? So that innovation DNA is carry through our business model. And what we realized is that in our business model, this is a remarkable company that actually makes absolutely nothing. What do I mean by that? Make our chips. We rely on the awesome the fabs in Taiwan, for instance, for manufacture. So the only designs is when we partner, when we collaborate, and we can share our designs with others who can build the products on top of our innovations, right? So find a Qualcomm phone. You won't find a Qualcomm base station. You won't find a Qualcomm router. You won't find a Qualcomm car. But if you use all of these four, Qualcomm is inside. And it's because we have been able with the entire industry from startups all the way to global giants and form collaborations and partnerships that give rise to these kind of end-to-end systems design. So, as I said, perhaps a little bit tongue-in-cheek that I have one of the best jobs in Qualcomm, I get to run a platform of the company that focuses on early-stage startups, that focuses on university research, that also focuses on collaborative governments, including, for instance, the Taiwan government, in finding ways technology can enrich lives. We run startup incubators and mentorships in 4 regions of the world, Taiwan certainly, in Vietnam, in India, and as I said, there is a new region we are active in. It's Africa. I'll speak a little bit later about why we chose Africa as the new region to focus on. So by taking these regions is where I think it gives me some degree of confidence to be able to share with you some of the scaling strategies. So let's take a look. I might say we are also sharing a birthday with TTA. We have been active for 5 years, and in fact, we started in 2019. And over the last, incubated 49 startups. And these 49 startups have that system DNA. They certainly build hardware, but they build end-to-end in 8 industry categories. And of these 8 industry categories, turns out that AI and data analytics is actually one of the areas of where startups are investing in. The other one is obviously health tech, the incredible healthcare system that you have, the ability to look at patient data in an anonymized fashion is actually very key to the growth of the AI-based medical industry here. And the third area is actually smart cities. So among these 8 areas, AI, healthcare, and smart cities is where we are seeing our startups are investing their talents and energy. So let's take a look, before I get into some of the scaling strategies, let's take a look at how this scaling has actually. Last year, we collaborated with a economic research agency called TIER, Taiwan Institute of Economic Research, and to some of the startups you've incubated. There are 14 of them listed over here. And they asked them a simple question. What was your start where you joined the Qualcomm incubator, and where are you at today, right? So that was the question they asked, and 14 of them replied. And the stages used by TIER from the Taiwan Venture Capital Association, which is, the first one is obviously the seed stage, then proceeding to the startup stage where the product small quantities in prototypes, proceeding to the expansion stage, where now you have a medium scale production, medium scale marketing operation going. Mezzanine stage, which is actually the preparation for a successful exit or an IPO, right? So by looking through these 4 stages, we have about 7 startups who started their journey with us in the seed stage, 3 in the startup stage, and then 4 in the expansion stage. Then as the incubation proceeded, in fact, 7 of them ended up being in the expansion stage. And we have a lovely from TIER actually, where they said that the Qualcomm model, with the Qualcomm model, the time for product development has effectively been cut in half, right? Now, you would expect a company like Qualcomm to certainly be able to influence product development and technology development. So While I'm proud of this statistic, I'm really surprised by it because if we at least didn't do that, then we probably weren't very effective in running the incubator. So there is more to technology and innovation. If we look at the factors, and there are many ways to define the factors that can contribute the success of startups, I choose to divide them into three groups. There are some that are intrinsic to the environment the startup is in, that are intrinsic to the startup itself, and the last one is how do you scale by market. For the first category, I got to give the hats off to. This is like a unique place where the government, the business environment comes together in helping, nurturing, raising startups from the ground up. This is actually quite unique. I've worked with many countries, and the rich environment, the encouraging, the collaborative environment that you have in Taiwan is precious. It's rare everywhere else. Open economy, it's easy to get things in and out, components, suppliers, market, that's actually a blessing. Infrastructure, world-class infrastructure in Taiwan, and the talent pool. As my colleague from MediaTek mentioned, highly educated, graduate, PhD level talents available and also, of course, access to seed funding. Qualcomm relies on these environmental factors, which is why when we run an incubator, we can find excellent startups because they come from this crucible, from this DNA of innovative culture of Taiwan. So where we focus on the 8 of the next 2 factors, which is in the innovation area, in helping startups build their management capabilities, build partnership. And then a particular unique area for Qualcomm is we actually teach startups how to protect their innovations through IP, through patenting, for instance, right? So this is a unique area. Since we're Qualcomm, we are good at it. We impart that knowledge and encourage startups to actually protect their innovations as well. Besides that, being a global company, we work very closely with startups to help them with their roadmap development and also help them take root in Taiwan and then use the bedrock of Taiwan to expand into other parts of the world. The way we do it is by running an annual incubator in Taiwan. It runs for about 7 months roughly on an annual cycle. And during those 7 months, we focus on technical incubation, about IP awareness training. We have lots of workshops on business coaching and mentorship. In fact, topics like marketing, these are things that startups naturally don't think about. They think about their product development, customer acquisition, innovation, which they should, but sometimes that will just happen by itself. No, we actually run workshops and help startups improve their branding and their pitch. We do provide some financial grants to incentivize them along the process. And then finally, like I said, we help with forging global partnerships. And this is long after their tenure with the course is over. So alumni become part of the Qualcomm startup family. I must give a shout out to my colleagues over here who run the centers. In fact, we have 2 of them, one here in Taipei and the other one in Kaohsiung in southern Taiwan. And in these innovation centers, we have state-of-the-art facilities, the latest 5G networks, the latest AI and robotics facilities, where startups can just come in and start using these facilities, the environment. The environment is always kept up to date by my engineers to the latest specifications and the latest technologies available from the industry. And this is actually why we earned that badge that I mentioned earlier, which is that of being able to accelerate product development by 50%, right? By cutting that time by 50%. As an engineer, I feel this is the home that I am most comfortable in, being in the lab. So I just wanted to give a shout out that this is actually a key ingredient for why technology startups can succeed. Like I said, Taiwan is not the only place where we have done this. Globally, over the last 8 years, we have over 200 startups, many of them in India. India is becoming a hotbed of startups in variety of areas, but harder in India. Most startups are software or services startups. So we are instigating the hardware industry there. During lunch, somebody asked me why, and I responded, why not Vietnam? Vietnam is a up-and-coming country. It's a manufacturing destination, skilled workforce, entrepreneurial workforce, and are hungry and eager to use technology to solve their problems too. So it's actually a great place for startups. And as we went through these 200 plus startups over the last 8 years, I realized that for today's topic, I will pick six scaling factors, and I'll go through each one of them and give you an example of a startup that illustrates those scaling factors. The first one will be about advanced technology for innovation, right? If you're a high-tech startup, innovation is the reason why you exist. Innovation is the reason why you will succeed. And disruption will be the reason why. So I'm going to spend some time on advanced technology. The second one, very important, global expansion, right? Having the sight on the said that be bold, do not be afraid to go abroad, right? I'm going to spend time on that. The third one, again, being Qualcomm, I'll actually a bit about why it's important for a startup, in addition to focusing on technology and business development, to fortify your patent portfolio. I'm going to talk about that. Then I'll pick an industry vertical where you can specialize this. The topic of today is semiconductors, so I'll talk about semiconductor startups. Number 5 and 6 are perhaps slightly unusual topics at first. So number 5 is about enabling all entrepreneurs. I'm talking about women founders and women CXOs. And I'll show you why that's actually very important, not only as a societal need, but actually it's a very good business idea. I'll tell you why this is a scaling factor. And lastly, in the new markets, I'll tell you about Africa, right? Why it's important to look into regions. Africa is emblematic. Latin America has many places. There are parts of South Asia that are nascent and coming up, but I'll use Africa as an example to illustrate. So let's start with scaling with advanced technology. On the top, we have the roughly 50-odd startup incubator. Every year, we have picked about 10 of Taiwan's finest. These startups have specialized roughly 8 technology areas. Predominantly, the number one area that they have used is actually AI at the edge. We have startups, this is going to sound humorous. In last year's cohort, we had a startup who used AI technology on glasses to be able to look at the gender of fish. So if you're a fisherman doing tilapia farming, you could actually use AI to make a decision. This is actually very important for the health of the health of a fish farmed fish population, as an example. Startups who use AI for product line defect analysis. We have startups who use AI for anomalies in industrial environments. Things like if somebody's not wearing proper uniforms in a zone of industrial requirement, PPEs during when the pandemic restrictions are enforced, so on and so forth, right? So this is actually a very key indicator that over the past 5 years, even before generative AI became a buzzword, they were onto something. They basically said, we are going to use edge AI as one of our primary differentiators. IoT communications, the ability to be able to use 4G, 5G technology in effective ways. XR, extended reality. And certainly lots of drones, lots of robots, wearables, and automotive technologies, right? So technologies that these 49 startups have used very, very gainfully. They are at the cutting edge. They are in the most advanced form of technologies that are available in these. So that's actually been very important in their success story. Let me give you an example. Here's a startup called Rillajet. You might have heard of them. They're rather famous in Taiwan. Rillajet came up with speaker distinction. Let's say I am someone who is afflicted of hearing. If I am using a hearing aid, one of the biggest problems of hearing aids, when everyone talks, I cannot distinguish the person that I'm speaking with. Religious technology solves that problem. And they solve that problem by getting into the tiny DSP of a very energy and memory efficient platform that we have. Once they did that, they're able to come up with a plethora of products. The first products they came up with is just a hearing boost. It's not a medical grade hearing assistant, it's a hearing boost. And that's good enough for most people who hearing aid. The second and third product are actually medical grade hearing aids. But the third product is very stylistic. You can't even tell that it's actually hearing aid. It looks like, in fact, because of the design, they won a Good Design Award. Recently, along with ASUS, we had a Qualcomm wireless, and for the audio technologies, Rillajet was one of the companies chosen, right? So the point of using them as an example for good technology is that they invested in foundational technology and they were able to scale it in product category by product category, and they were able to find successes in multiple areas using one single source of technology. This was actually a very key way they chose to build their roadmap. The second factor, scaling globally. These have now scaled into 17 countries, including Taiwan. They've gone on to 16 other countries. Japan, for sure, South Asia, Europe, US, and also LATAM also now, increasingly. And let me pick an example of how this has gone, how it's gone well. There's a company called Yalven, and Yalven's technology is that of using Edge AI and IoT communications on vending machines. They quickly retrofitted their vending machines to give you, Taiwanese citizens, masks and other PPEs based on your health card. Same technology to Japan and be able to give live logistics inventory information to companies who use vending machines. As you know, really a very big part of distribution of drinks and food and other products. And now they've expanded to other parts of Southeast Asia. So Yalven is an example of where they've been able to use globalized connectivity technology and be able to go to multiple countries and adapt to the cellular net, the requirements of those countries, as an example. Third area, I told you I'll talk about patent portfolios. So incubator, we incentivize, we provide a little bit of funding to startups while they are part of our cohort to go ahead and file patents. And we, in fact, help them understand doesn't have stake in those patents. These are patents that belong to the startups. And then we get them going, and then we watch what happens. So we have incentivized about 46 patent applications from these 39 startups. But watch what happened after that. On their own, they went on to 69 patents on their own. Once you give a push to the boat sails. And about half of them have already been granted. File in not only in Taiwan, certainly in China, in the US, in Japan, and in Europe. These seem to be the countries where startups are filing. And the prominent filing areas, The prominent filing areas include imaging, which is computer vision, AI, sensors, right? So these are up-and-coming areas where Taiwanese startups are filing patents in. We see this phenomenon not only in Taiwan, but global startups that we work with in Vietnam and in India are also doing that. But you'll be very proud to know that about half of the patents have come from Taiwan global portfolio, even though Taiwan is about 22% of our total portfolio, right? So Taiwan is, once the startups understand why patenting is important, going. So this is actually a very key part of differentiation of Taiwanese startups. Patenting contributes to many, many things as part of your story. It helps you with valuation. It helps you attract capital because you have a proof that you have something innovative, right? One of our startups in India was so successful with patenting that they were able to license the technology in the automotive industry. After licensing, they became so successful that they just got acquired, right? So here's a really good example of a semiconductor startup that actually succeeded through licensing their IP. And that brings me to scaling in a semiconductor design vertical. On the first four, these are examples of semiconductor startups in India where the government is putting a lot of effort. And Dr. Shu this morning, when about the IC project, I'll go back to the startups and say, consider Taiwan as a destination, because they are very good semi-design companies. But in Taiwan also, we work with companies who are, in fact, one of the companies will be up here on a panel, SkyMiser. And I'll let the CEO speak about SkyMiser. There are also other semi companies in Taiwan who are actually investing in design and the entire tool chain. Why should we put an emphasis on focusing on startups that are founded or led by women? I have one simple proof point over here. If you look at the technology areas that, by the way, I'm very proud that 25% of our global incubate are either founded or run by women. What are the areas they're focusing on? Healthcare, therapeutics as an example, cosmetics, AI in cosmetics industry, social care. But look at the last line, clean energy, clean transportation, sustainability, right? Of course, women and men industries that are very similar, if you look at the middle two lines. But in addition, you see that women and entrepreneurs generally tend to gravitate many of the clean energy sustainability areas. I'm not saying men don't focus on it. I'm just saying that our data shows that having women entrepreneurs increases the range of problems that, right? So one of the scaling factors that I'm recommending and suggesting is that partner with women entrepreneurs, not only in Taiwan, but in other parts of the world. Pretty amazing solutions come out for problems that you didn't even think about, right? And the world will be so much more better if we can pervasively do that. I said I'll talk about Africa. Why Africa? Very simple reason. It's a very young population, and the young population in Africa are very tech hungry, and they adopt technology rather quickly. Last year was our first foray into Africa that we have been able to find 10 amazing startups in 5 countries in Africa, in Kenya, in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Nigeria, and in Ghana. They are taking technology and solving uniquely African problems, and I think they'll be hungry to collaborate with Taiwan and Taiwanese startups, right? So my point is Africa in mind. It's an up-and-coming area. So in summary, I went through six scaling factors based global startups. I love early stage startups because they take risks. They are able to not only take risks, they're able to harness advanced technology innovations to the world. They're experts at identifying local solutions to local problems. And lastly, they're able to span through many startup categories and startup modalities, gender, ethnicities, new markets, and new industry verticals. So I hope this experience, sharing of this experience, will continue to sharpen these and continue to collaborate in the Taiwanese startup ecosystem. Sheshe.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to Mr. Subtito Roy. Thank you for your amazing presentation.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing the secret of scaling up for startups. Now I would like to invite you to take a picture at the center stage. And Shu-san, please join the pictures. Mr. Roy would like to invite you to descend the aisle for a picture with everybody. We're supposed to borrow from you, but Sapito is from Thousand, California, San Diego. The housing are very expensive there. So we need $10 from you. So that's 2.5. Everybody, 2.5, $10 for Mr. Roy. Thank you, Sapito, for sharing the secret about for the stops. And thank you for your help from Qualcomm to all the newcomers. Come on, $10. 谢谢. Now let's welcome our next presenter and VP of Research and Development of Taboola. Welcome, Yu Ning小姐.
First of all, I love Africa, okay? And I actually invest in some of the African female startups. And so I'm definitely really encouraged what I just been told by my previous. And the deck, I couldn't see it, sorry. Okay. Can someone help here?
我们前面的 monitor 可以打上那个宁姐 PowerPoint， 谢谢。
Okay. Today's my deck is my topic is ways and opportunity for Taiwanese startup to enter market. And first of all, I think that if I am a Taiwanese startup CEO, and this is how I'm going to present to the international market.
Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ming Yu, and I am thrilled to have the opportunity to share a little about my background and experiences with you. Ming Yu, and I come from the beautiful country of Taiwan. I am a proud graduate of National Taiwan University, where I obtained my bachelor's degree. Building for technology, I pursued further education and successfully completed my master's degree in computer science at UCLA. Currently, I hold the position of Research and Development at Taboola. I have the privilege of overseeing product development and research initiatives for Taboola in both the United States and Taiwan. Power of AI and deep learning, Taboola serves over 1 trillion content recommendations each month to an active daily user base of more than 500 million, spanning across sites and mobile carriers. I am also proud to serve as an esteemed board member of the UCLA CS department, where I actively contribute to shaping the future science education and research. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to connecting with all of you.
By the way, this video only took me 5 minutes, okay, using the Stable Diffusion and the GPT-4. And can speak 25 languages too. So what I want to say is generative AI is so accessible now. So don't be afraid and try something new and present yourself. If you look at my profiles, I did a 7-star ventures. And I raised my money from the Silicon Valley's top VCs. After I raised it, and it's operational in the American model, and headquarters in the United States. And I implement a American marketing strategy is United States. So, I run all the companies as typical US startups. So I feel like I'm not qualified to Taiwanese startups to go global. So I can go home now. But I have some good news. My current venture has its DNA as an Israeli startup. And my previous venture, Perfect Market, was merged into Taboola years ago. Together, and we turn into a global company. So Taboola currently is a large recommendation engine in the open web. Public in 2021 in 61 markets, 60 markets, and we have a 26 global office in the world. Spend a lot of money in R&D. Why? Because we have 9,000 plus publishers. We actually make 1 trillion recommendations per month, and we have so much data. So if you classify Taboola actually is an AI company. We're using all kind of AI technology. We're always looking for the best talents in the world. So where do we find? Taiwan. We have started working with NST in 2017. So I want to thank Director Xu. He's our true supporters. Without her, we won't be here. So we started working with the NST. We realized the best talents in AI actually is in Taiwan. So we actually set up a AI R&D center in Taiwan starting 2021. Center is not working on any portfolio products. We are looking for core products supporting the core customers. I actually have the first-hand experience watching an Israeli startup turn into a global unicorn. How did it happen? The Israeli central to Israeli startups' attitude toward how they want to handle the global market, because it's a consequence of a tiny company, only 9 million people. And so really driving all the entrepreneurs think actually from inceptions. So they developed this worldview. And they have to really looking for the opportunity and the constraints. Think about it, this is a tiny countries. All their neighbors are Arab country, are their enemies. They can't really go to their neighbors, they have to go somewhere else. Finally, I think that's very like a Taiwan government. The Israeli government also is the pivotal force driving all the start global. For example, they have this II-8, Israel Innovation Authorities. They having spent on support all the startups and just $150 million for 150 startups in 5 years. So go global for startups is not own responsibility, it's from top to bottom. So there are some numbers I can share with you. And Israel currently probably more unicorns with total value of 255 billions. And just alone in 2021, they have 42 new unicorns included, and they are able to raise a lot of money year of year. So what is the key strategy for it to get the global foothold? I think about it, my own experience. I think they really prioritize national markets requirement over their local markets. They're always eyeing like the United States as their perfect product fit. So when Taboola get into the United States, they're looking for a couple of things. They're looking for the product positioning. They look at their competitors. They quickly seizing they need to work with perfect markets. So we merged together, but that's not the end. They decide to R&D shops in US and make it big. Why? Because you're very close to your clients, so you know exactly what customers want. So this is every time, even we have tens of thousands of the advertiser, every time if I need to do beta, US first. I actually just did a last week, and for multiple clients, start with 10, 20s, but US is always the first. Another thing is you need to embrace the changes. And Israeli is a close-knit communities, but they only want to work with Jews. But they realize if they want to go global, they actually have to adapt to different culture, all the operational differences. And so they need to really hire the best people. They can think about it. And the people with the global, and they will want to make sure onboard them properly and make sure create a respect environment. And so I think the engagement really is the catalyst for startup companies. Think about this. Taiwan have a AR&D centers, but Taiwan didn't have synagogue. Taiwan kosher food. Taiwan didn't have Hebrew schools, and Taiwan even didn't have Israelis. So you have to be open-minded. You know, I heard a lot of Taiwanese, I really cannot go to that country because they don't have board-bar like that. So please, open your mind and looking for something different. Another thing is networking. I can't stress enough how integral networking is. And this is the mantra, connect. And it's not a one-day event like today. It really is a continuing endeavor. So I put a picture here. We just reopened the Taiwan Tubula LA office. So the Israeli consul office in LA decided to visit us. So I did my presentation, and I thought that's the end of it. We shake hands, have a drink. But it didn't end there. They start asking questions. They ask, what's your M&A strategy? Ask, what's your competitors? They ask you, what's your roadmap? And they ask tough questions. So I realized connect and explore, connect steps, but explore allow you to move forward, looking for different opportunities and how to work together. So I do learn something from the Israeli company. So I start copying their magnets and think about how to bring Taiwanese startup to the United States. Here I was the chairperson of Southern California Manji Associations. So I teamed up with Dr. Chu Wenda 医生, host a precision care innovation symposium. And actually supported by the NCTC. And we also set up a venture pitch contest and work with NCTC, bring some of the best Taiwanese company to US to participate. PT winners and some of the 家创 winners. And this really gave the Taiwanese company some perspective how to pitch in front of the VCs. At the end, we actually have winners. This winner is Taiwanese American owner. He did a great job. I think everyone can learn from them how he positioned himself. And at the end, he not only got the reward, he also got the opportunity to do stuff in the hospital. As a result, and this contest is end of last year, and the company actually got acquired Q1. So Taiwanese company can see the entire cycle from beginning to pitch to explore to new opportunity and being. So I always told the Taiwanese company, contact us and just show up. Every time there is a Taiwanese company come, we bring them to share with them all our contacts. We help them to work on the business model, looking for any new opportunities. So I want to do a shameless. This year, we again team up with NCTC. We have a conference called AI and Me. Not only just on the precision healthcare. This talk about all kind of AI scholars with VC and all the AI industry experts. And we're also setting up this startup contest. And all of you to participate and seeing how this thing works. So if you're a Taiwanese startup company, you're in the market. You know, there's a wealth of the learning from Israeli companies, and these are a few. Number one is you really need to adopt the pace of Taiwanese companies. And I always say there are three words. 快, 很, 准. 快 means fast. 很 means aggressive. But the key is you need to have a very good idea how you position your product in that market. You also need to broaden your worldview. Languages, you understand the cultural differences, also be present. Funding. I think there's a lot of funding intricacy you need to learn. You know, the Taiwan VC are so different than the rest of the world, from the size, from evaluation, everything. And finally, advantages and the restrictions. You know, Israel is not that lucky. They have no neighbors you can work with. But in Taiwan, you have a lot of neighbors, similar culture you can tackle, but you also need to understand the restrictions. So let's talk about speed. And we can quickly just go through this. You need to know what customer wanted in that market. You need to position your product. You have to make quick decisions and execute your campaign because no one knows who you are. And finally, you need to find your partners, either your B2B or B2C. That's very different partners. At least after I walk in, there are 5 people talk about your startups, something related to generative AI. So I want to just give you a cycle about how fast you should be and what else you should do. Okay, this is an article published by Wall Street Journal, May 8, 2023, months ago. It says ChatGPT fever has investors pouring billions into AI startups. At that time, some of my friends got the money, a business plan. You don't need to have products. You don't need to even have the company. And there's no hard question asked. The money is just pouring in. And there are some proof here. And this we talk about AI bubbles. In the Q1 this year, the startup raised money than last year. And we talk about $11.2 billion. This is not even including Microsoft invest in the open AI. So, but this is the entire value chain. You know, you can play any products in this food chain. Taiwan is really good at the bottom hardware, talk about chips. But how about the platform, cloud platforms? And how about the foundation models? How about the tools allow you to monitor and verify your models? And how about the application and the services on the top of the food chain provide the maximum value? So let's look at how Israeli start doing it. I picked this one this week. This company, A121 Lab, invested by Pintango, the largest Israeli VC, also is AAA VC. And they raised $155 million, 1.4 billion evaluations. What they're doing? Large language models. What else? Even earlier, an OpenAI's executive invest $11 million to a company called Coding AI. My friend was there too. They just writing the little app to help developer create the software faster. So you can see Israeli company in this on top button on, they found out their position in this entire value chain. We look at the realities. Every day morning, I wake up, this is the first thing I see, this white pages. It says 2023, talk about all the companies and all the products in this specific AI and machine learning. At the beginning of this year, it's the companies, hundreds, okay, just about the phone. It's very easy. But every day, there are products coming out to the market. They're able to, and it's coming from infrastructure to analytics, and to platform, to open source, to enterprise, horizontal, and to the vertical. When you say vertical, what do you mean? You see, in my areas, the answer is yes. If you look at this map, you will find on the healthcare, government, agriculture, transportation, on and on. Not only that, there's a lot of consulting companies. A lot of companies didn't know how, so a lot of consulting companies help the enterprise to transform. And then we talk about data. Without data, this thing's not working. So found out a lot of database companies, and this is the reality. Okay. There are so many companies in the globe try to raise money and pay off. You have to find out what's your differentiation, how you can play a major role here. But do we at the end of the cycle already? This is an article I picked up on August 30th on Wall Street Journal by the same reporter. AI startup buzz is facing a reality check. How big can this be? To how do we make it work? In the last couple of months, ChatGPT usage is going down every month. Midjourney's usage is going down every month. Students in the summer, they don't have to do homework anymore. But no company can build a business based on kids doing homework. There's no money behind it. So with this article, I believe there's a lot of business people, including Taboola, are heavily using this tool to really build a business cases. And even so, I already able to get 1 billion revenues. But you have to really open your eyes. And when we talk about speed, it doesn't mean that first product is going to win. I gave you one example. There's a company called Jasper. They're an early player into this market, $3 million last year. And they had this fanfare party in San Francisco. I have a friend join that company. This is the hardest company I ever think about it. This company just started lay off in July. So what happened? If you want to do fast, do you have the data to support your solutions? Do you have a really understand the pinpoint? And do you have domain knowledge? Do you have a business model? Try to make a company. So speed and positioning product is hand in hand. And when I say going to a global market, you have to have in the worldview. First of all, you need to speak in different language English. In Taboola, everyone needs to speak in great English before you even get hired. If you're living in LA, actually you do not need to speak in English. I mean, you can speak where you want to. But if you do not speak in that local language, you would not know the market. You will not know the audience. I'll give you one example. When I joined Taboola years ago, it's a very tiny company. All my colleagues are Israelis. So we have a rule. Oh, by the way, Israel. And so every time we have a meetings, everyone has to speak in English. If you do not speak in English, you need to pay what we call a bagel fine. You have to really put the money into the jar, buy everyone bagels. So at that time, I ate so much bagel. I hate bagel now. But it works because language, you are able to know the client, know your colleagues, you can move really fast. Another thing is about cultural sensitivities, big deal. Have you heard a lot of Taiwanese companies go outside, they don't understand why that country people behave it that way. And this does matter. You need to be present and build a trust. So give you one example, my personal experience. I don't know if you can see this very well, and cultural differences. In Taboola, we have a multiple R&D centers. The 4 major one is in Hungary, Taiwan, and also in the United States. And we look at the culture of people behave differences. The first one called power distance. Blue one is Israel. Look at this purple is Taiwan. What does it mean? Talk about authorities. Okay, can you challenge us? Do you treat people equally? There's a saying, they work in Israel, only 9 million people, but they have 9 million generals. Okay, everyone believes they have something to say, they can challenge the authorities. But in Taiwan, I gave orders. I said, this is a very important project. People say, I'm going to do it. They didn't even question why we're doing this. So there's a cultural differences. And more, individualism. This is really my pinpoint. I have an organization in US, green. I also have an organization, purple, in Taiwan. If you want to do a joint product, American would say, what's good for me? Why I'm going to learn? What's good for my career? In Taiwan, people say, wow, something I'm going to do for the good of the companies. I'm doing something good for my project. I will do anything, make that happen. What else? Let's pick another one. How about uncertainty and avoidance? Let's look at the two numbers. The light blue one, Israel 81, and the US. This explains a lot of the behaviors, all the obstacles you're dealing with. Think about Israel is a tiny country. Older people, before they go to the college army, every time there's a war, what happened? They have almost no resource. So you need to quickly find out a precision can kill the enemies. But we have so much resource. With resources, even not a problem. So when you start doing the projects, Israeli will say, why we're doing this KPI? What is the impact? How long will it take? What's the resource is needed? In the US, they say, oh, good idea. This is a great direction. Let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, let's try something else. With resource, even not a concern. So, if you are Taiwanese startup, you help people work together, have a different nuance, and you need to persuade them to be in sync. As I say, in our company, every organization has to solve work together is joint force the only way we can survive. What else? I just pulled out these pictures. I should pull a picture with Xu Chuzhao to her. The same thing. If you're a Taiwanese company, please do not remote control a market there, because you are not building to know how they really act, how's the customer reactions. You're not going to build the trust and also the personal relationship. And when we set up the R&D here, all my Israeli colleagues just drop down here. They shake hands with everybody, ask tough questions. And then finally, they really build that trust. And that's how they can be very successful. Okay, so I have only 2 slides. I wanted to go quickly. Fundings. And I am an investor in the Taiwanese. I raised tons of money in US, so I can see the clear differences. If you have a great idea, but only niche for 20,000, please do not go global. If you want to go global, you have to have a big topic that have a big market size. And if you're going to think about it, you should register there, because you can raise the funding in that country, okay? And because they understand your business, the market requirements is much easier. Also, Taiwan's VC and the rest of the world's VC, they have a very different idea about it. For example, you can raise here and probably can raise 100 times more outside the US, outside the Taiwan, also the expectation. Finally, we'll talk about geographic advantage and restrictions. This is speaking for obvious. For Taiwan, Japan are doing a digital transformation in specific areas, such as fintech, digital learning, and tourism. And the CCIA Innovation Hub there bring the Taiwanese startup over there. But in Israeli, all the new startup, 80% of them set the shop in US, because that's where they raise their first fundings. They also sell estates, allow them pay very low corporate tax, estate sales tax. And finally, depends on your product services. It may not be universal, especially for the medical devices and biotech. Country have a very different regulations, also different business environment. Taiwan, you have a universal healthcare, but rest of the world, they have, so you talk about different pricing model, different selling channels, and everything else. So those are things you have to do an evaluation before you go. So in summaries, I think Taiwanese company having the best talent, best technology. But if you want to go, please learn and implement some of the tactics I mentioned and take some risk. I think the global opportunity is so big, worth to give a try. Go global and just do it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up to Ning Jie from Tabula. Wow, this. And thank you for sharing the secret, the confidential secret, how to tackle the international market. Ning Jie, I would like to invite you to this and take a picture with Director Xu. And Ning Jie is from LA and she's stuck in the traffic all the time. Can 5 minutes from you? Thank you. 5 minutes for Ning Jie. Everybody, 5 minutes for Ning Jie. 谢谢. Please grab a seat and allow our glamping team. Glamping Stadium. Glamping is something very popular in Taiwan. Glamping is glamorous camping. That's what we do here. And now, final discussion. First of all, our topic will be the opportunities to challenge of the tech startups, scaling up and go. First of all, let's welcome the moderator. He is a professor of Department of Computer Science and Engineering from NTU. Welcome, Professor Lin Shoude. Please grab a seat. Professor, I think your seat is right here. It says NTU here. NTU, yes. Oh, you want to join Tapu? I think Ning Jie will be very happy. And welcome our presenter, Mr. Kwakam, to share more with us. And Ning Jie from Ta. And there's two new faces. Chairman of Big Object, Xu Youjing 先生. And last but not the least, welcome co-founder and Sky Miser. Welcome, Lupa Tan. Before we start, I think we made a company sign for you. Go ahead and hold that and take a picture together before the panel discussion. Looking good. And we need that California smile. Thank you. Here goes $5. $5, Ning Jie, $5. $5? Yes. Great. We have $25. The party is yours, Professor Lin. Drop the beat.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So it's my great pleasure to be here and to host this wonderful forum. So we have 4 esteemed and I'd like to first introduce myself. So besides serving as the faculty member in National Taiwan University, I also serve as a chief machine learning APR, which was then a startup company. We went public in 2021. And I also was a co-founder for a company called Omni Eyes, 洞见科技, which is still in early stage. We are doing using computer vision to do fleet management. Today's forum, we actually have 4 speakers. I think you already know, like Roy. And so next, I'd like to introduce two of the remaining speakers here. One is Dr. Xu, and the next one is Luba Tang. Okay, and Dr. Xu was the chairman of Big Object, and he also like coming back and forth to US and Taiwan, and he was actually the vice director for Minister of Science and Technology. I believe he has a lot to share with us. And also, Dr. Tang was a CEO for Sky Miser. Okay. So to start, I will introduce the agenda. First, we will let Dr. Xu Youjin and Luca to talk about themselves for 3 minutes, and then we will have two predefined about how to go global and how to scale up in the tech for a tech company, and we will have all the members share their views. And we have an open question section, so all the audience can ask whatever you want to the audience, and then we conclude in the final minutes. So without further ado, I will introduce Eugene to start.
Okay. Hi, everyone. 5 years ago, next slide, please. So I prepared one slide. So I helped to initiate TTA as a deputy minister in the science and technology. So I'm great. You guys are inviting me back to attend this anniversary. And I want to say something about what we did when we were in the ministry. And like to introduce myself, that I went through if you look at the view graph here, I went through the digital age. Okay, I witnessed a lot of startup and witnessed the evolution of the whole industry, whole electronic industry. So if you look at the electronic industry from 1960s, IC invention, that started the digital, and then you look at in several area, subcategory in the semiconductor material area, the IC, the EDA, and hardware platform and software platform applications. Okay, and when I went to National Taiwan, actually I'm your upper class. So I went to National Taiwan University. At the time it's 1977, and I graduated in 1981. And the semiconductor material is 10 micron material. Okay, and Moore's law drive the material like every 18 months, double the capacity, right? And today, you see the large chip, the GH200 is from NVIDIA, announced last month. Okay, one GPU and 141 gigabyte memory, and then the 72 core ARM processor in one chip. You know how large it is? How many transistors inside? 200 billion transistors, okay? And the time in 1971, 1,000 transistors in a single chip. So in a large chip, you see the design for integrated circuit from small scale, large scale, to SoC today, right? Chipset, every kind of technology that, so you see a bunch of IC design companies, one of it, and NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, and also in Taiwan, Lianhuake, right, and Novatech, Realtek. I can name at least 10 companies in Taiwan, okay? And because you need to design the complicated integrated circuit, so you need electronic design automation. That it started in 1980s, this Cadence Synopsys, and with more than 200, I believe at least 200 EDA, and I co-founded two companies in the EDA industry, coming up, and then all this come into either Synopsys or Cadence. Now today, three big companies, Cadence, Synopsys, and Mental Graphics. And Taiwan, we start with PC and then server and AI platforms, right? And that's all the you did, and then hardware platform is software and software applications, okay? And if you look at this chart, you see those starts where it's involved, and a lot of start from 1970s. Like if you look at the first start, 1976, Taiwan licensed semiconductor technology, and that started our electronic era. And you see today's TSMC become dominant in this industry, and then today they're still number one in this semiconductor manufacturing business. Okay, as I mentioned, Taiwan has the IC design companies, IC design house, and the EDA is so well. It's American Cadence, Synopsys, and but Taiwan do have something similar in the EDA areas. Once you have a tool, it can help you to design the chip, and I can build IPs. So that's Taiwan is pretty good in these two areas. Okay, hardware platforms. We have very, very few software companies, and of course, Appeal is one of Taiwanese companies doing. And at the time, we Springsoft, where I helped co-found also a software company in EDA. Okay, and I remember there's another one doing the Fangdu Ranti. Okay, very few software companies. Okay, so give this. The reason I say that is because I helped. After I retired from Synopsys, that I helped the ministry to start the TTA and also a lot of AI program. We are seeing potential for the future of AI. And you guys a lot of you will go through the so-called AI age. And hopefully in few years, draw some chart like I witnessed the digital age. Because I went through that and I'm done and then semi-retire. I can see that in the future there's a great opportunity in AI age. So back to myself, I graduated from Taiwan University to Illinois to learn electronic design automation. And then I went to Silicon Valley, start a couple companies, and both going to Synopsys, both eventually got merged by Synopsys. And I serviced in Synopsys for 5 years. Okay, that myself. Thank you.
Luba, please, your turn.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Luba. And okay, 10 years ago, I started this company, SkyMiser. And we only have some innovative technology, and we have totally no idea about business. So in our first 4 years, we make no money, almost no revenue. And for 5 years ago, because AI and the blockchain become so hot, so we pivot to these two revenue strands. One group try to make AI, and the other try to make the virtual machine for the blockchain. And both product lines are success. So I spin off our blockchain part to the other company, and sold that company about 2 years ago. And SkyMiser keeps focusing on the compiler. So yeah, these 10 years, we only have one technology, is compiler technology. And we only do one thing, making compiler. In our first 4 years, we make traditional C and C++ compiler. And in this 4 years, we make AI compiler, especially for CNN. For the next 5 years, we'll start to make system software about large language model. That's what SkyMiser do. And we already profit since last year. and many of my customers are IC design houses because we are Taiwanese company and the semiconductor industry in Taiwan provide a very good playground for the company like us to grow up. And yeah, let's all. Yeah, and in these 10 years, we already have more than 20 AI chips help us get IC build up their system software, and most of our customers comes from Israel, United States. In the last year, start to get some customer from China and some customer from Taiwan. And the most interesting part is some of my customers are building chip for data center, but some of them building some more small edge devices. Even some of them, and the best is no matter what kind of target market my customer focus on, all these we provide common software for different chips and help them to go to mass production, ship their product in the market. Yeah, this is my strategy.
Yeah, wow, we have experts in many different areas, in compiler, in software design, in IC design, in AI, in Microsoft stuff. So I do look forward to your contribution on the next question we will give you. Okay, so next, I actually define two defined questions for our audience and for our panelists. So I will go from probably Luca first, and then me this question. Can we go to the slide? Are we going to have one? No, that's fine. So I will first question to all of you. And we all know that each tech company actually they want to be a unicorn one day, but nowadays changing very fast. So for example, in generative AI, every week we are seeing a new foundation model announced, and model claim they are better than ChatGPT in terms of either efficiency or effectiveness or whatever. Okay, so this tells us like really a fast-changing world. So how can startup like adapt themselves to this kind of speed in the world? How can they not mix while trying to develop their business strategy or develop their products in this area? Okay, so let me introduce Luba first.
I think the key is how to beware you are doing a dogma or you just make some original works. I think that is the key to make sure you can changing world, especially in AI. Because you know, in the AI area, every generation is just about every 100 days foundation model changes. And the AI framework also changes. So I think one very special and very unique of SkyMiser is that about 2 years ago, I have a chance to break even, but I decided to no longer making any service, especially getting IE. We start to put all our energy making our own product. And this is a very big decision because you already have a positive, free cash flow, but all the investors just see you screwing up everything. You just draw up all the revenue, draw up all the customer, and put all your energy for many goods products. And but nowadays, SkyMiser, we already can make profit just by our product. The decision I made at that time, from today's point of view, is correct decision. Yeah, and how can this decision? I think the key is I pretty much make 100% very sure that the original works. We are just not doing a dogma. And we know what difference between our teams, and we just try to build our own barrier and then make sure if you have a customized design, we can deliver the best. Yeah. So from day to day, we just put all our energy to refine our product, then build out area. Yeah, I think that's the only way to facing the change.
Good. Yeah, thank you. And so next, I'll have Eugene.
Okay, guys, please. I have a slide. Can you put it? Well, anyway. Oh, okay. So for this topic, I think when you're talking about a startup, and I look at Google and also look at ChatGPT, and mention 90% startup fail in 5 years. Okay. So the four key components for the startup is you need a good talent, right? And good talent, and you need to know the market, and also you need to enough money to run the business. And the company fail, most likely the four people, the four components for startup. You either running out of money, market, okay, not effective, your technology is not effectively marketing, okay, and you're not. And I start up two companies, one in Silicon Valley, and another one is actually in Taiwan, SpringSoft. And fortunately, we have a very good mentor. His name is Paul Huang. Okay, he's a Cadence founder. Okay, and he has a way, and I can, as a way that we do the business. We have an offsite meeting. Okay, and in the offsite meeting, we look into the business strategy of the company, keep reviewing it. And one is the SWOT, right? You need to know your strengths, your weakness, and where your opportunity. We usually use the art of war in Taiwan, Chinese, 孙子兵法, okay? And the whole 道天地将法, the train, okay? And it is the timing, okay, train with the location and also the commander and discipline. And what is it? When you do a company, you need to the direction, okay? And in the particular direction, if you look at the 孙子兵法, the means that the commander, okay, the commander and the team has to be in the same direction. The mission has to be aligned with the whole company, okay? And that's the most important. If in this direction and all the people under the company doing different things is very hard. So it's very important to communicate the company. And of course, the commission doesn't mean that it has to stick. You can change because the dynamic challenges, okay? So in the Tao, they said, 令民上下统一. That means in Chinese, the company needs to have the same mission and work together. I think that's the number one component, okay? And of course, the Tao also means about the train, okay? And the thing, history before, they're talking a fly cannot fly very far. But if fly, you stick with the tail of the run 1,000 miles a day. Okay, that means that if your direction go with the trend, that you can go very, very far. Okay, 天地 and the 将 means that you need a good story. Okay, keep reviewing the SWOT, define the product position, and also the value creation. Remember, when you do startup, you are creating value for your customers. So then you enjoy yourself, okay? Finding what you help your customers, that's the important one. Okay, and once you determine, direction is you need to be dominant, okay? If you are just mediocre and it's just another, okay, it's very hard. So that's what he advised us. And I use the same, what he's been teaching me all the time for more than 12 years, okay? And then I share it with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for sharing with us like this all can really benefit our modern startup company. Next, we will have Nin to share your view.
I think you speak the keywords, focus and provide values, okay? Then I fully agree. And I just want to give you one example. I don't want to give you a theory because I have no theory. Dr. Lin talked about generative AI, right? And everyone asked me, what should I do? What can I do? And so I give you my personal experience. We realized this revolution in technology end of last year. So we started listen to the customer and look at the internal data. There's a pinpoint for all our partners. Then we quickly built a POC end of last year. We push out beta early this year. I actually, went out celebrate my business. It didn't. Because this is such early technologies, have all the limitations, all the restrictions. So when the second day after we went beta, we went in to look at a number, it's horrible. Only 1/10 of our customers using this tool because they don't know how to ask for prompts. The magic of the pieces, they're afraid. So we spent about 4 months trying to looking for the problem with technology, and also using our partners, the advertisers, the publisher, using the tool, and we also get all the insights. For example, GPT-4, you probably do know their performance getting worse because they are not getting any of the from NVIDIA. So Qualcomm should do something, okay? And they don't get horrible, downtime is horrible, quality is horrible, and then we are building a production commercial product, we cannot do that. So we spent a lot of time trying to make a stable scaling. And so after we went GAs, we continue, we celebrate for a date, and then we go back to look at it. The bottom line is, are you really for your partners? Are you really building a solution or cost effective? The company can monies, and all are important. So what I try to say, fast moving industry, please, and make sure you still have your core, you still have your pillar, and look forward, always looking for the value. Why you want to provide, always listen to the customers, also always watching the numbers, and this is only the way I know how to move forward with our product, and be adaptive, and I think you will find your calling, you will find out you found your solution. That's it.
Thank you. Please.
I don't know what I will add beyond the wisdom the three of you have shared, so please listen to them. These are great tips. I'm actually going to disagree with you a little bit. Sure. In the premise of your question, you have like every startup be a unicorn. I think every startup aspires to just survive. I mean, right? So I think they try to be cash flow positive, maybe make a little bit of money fifth year, keep the talent, keep customers, right? So if that's the goal versus being a unicorn, then I have to add to the wealth of wisdom, right? The first one I'm going to borrow from a good friend of mine. His name is Chetan Sharma. He is an analyst based in Seattle. I was at his conference last week on Wednesday. And Chetan has a theory of the era, you call age. He calls it the quantum verse. And by quantum verse, what he's saying is quantum is the constituent technologies and the multitude of all these technologies, right? So what is he really trying to say? What he's saying is that today's world is defined by many, many technologies, right? Unsupervised learning is far bigger than generative AI. And if you trend out what will happen over the next 5 years, unsupervised learning is going to be far bigger than AI will be. Generative AI is important, but unsupervised learning is what most of us use. Most of the AI techniques, right? You'd agree that that's really what we use. 5G is now becoming advanced 5G, and we will enjoy the fruits of advanced 5G. It'll go to 6G shortly. Advanced Wi-Fi, advanced robotics, advanced IoT. So what Chetan is saying is that these technologies actually now scale each other. So if you're a startup, I agree with you that focus is very important, but you will also have to be an expert in some other additional adjacent technology, right? So maybe a startup suddenly, like you support 20 IC companies, you may be an AI startup supporting an energy company, a battery chemistry company, and you have no knowledge what it is, but you will have to learn it very fast, right? So that's my first point, that we are in the era of quantum verse. We cannot survive anymore as a startup with one technology, right? I'm going to work anymore because of this. The other one I'm going to stress on is what Ning Ning said, delight your customers. Your customers are rare. If you take care of them, even if your technology fails, they will come back to you because you took care of them, right? In my career and experience at Qualcomm, every time I took care of, even if the experience was poor, they came back to me because they said, I trust you, I'll work with you, right? So these two are important, the connections of technologies and customer.
Thank you, Sudeep. And I really like you to disagree with me. And I also encourage all the panelists to disagree with each other or with myself. Okay. By the way, I really like what you said, unsupervised learning is very important. But I also want to highlight there is one plausible solution for unsupervised learning, zero-shot learning. So we will see. Next, I will go into the second predefined one. And so we talk about scale up. Next, we are going to talk about go global. Okay, every company want to penetrate to the company. As Nini mentioned, a lot of companies, they think about from day one. But I believe a lot of audience want to know concretely, do you have any advice how those companies can go global? Easy? No, it won't be easy. Go global, too much painful, or you can share some of your painful experience so people can actually save a lot of efforts not going to those difficult roles one more time. And so let's go from Sudeep this time. Okay, please go ahead.
I think Ning Ning shared a lot of great techniques for going global. Cultural sensitivity, adaptability are very key ingredients. Add the topic of customization of your products and services. Let me give you an example. Supporting a startup in Kenya. This entrepreneur, his name is Geoffrey Mutabazi, and he by the way, he's in Uganda, but his market is also in. So Geoffrey has a business where he takes e-bikes, and he has come up with a where he connects riders with things that have to be delivered, right? So his innovation is to provide riders who carry a load on top of an e-bike, take it from village A to village B, deliver with fidelity. So he provides e-pedal on the basis of the weight of the rider and the weight of the load, right? Now, as a Qualcomm engineer, as we approached him, we have many. What I suddenly realized is that his cost profile for his business model to be successful, I actually cannot meet it. I don't have products that can meet his cost profile. We immediately pivoted into more of an advisory role, and I said, absolutely use competitor chips. We have no problems, because if I help him today customize the cost profile he has, I know for a fact that 2 years, 5 years from now, he will have scale where I can meet him with where our products and his interests can match, right? Ability to quickly think about what your customer needs versus trying to sell what you have is actually a very important trait that you need to have while you go global, right?
And Nini?
You just took my answer, but so I have to think about something else. Okay. When I joined Volas, we only have two U.S. Okay, in U.S. And so we had to really go out, try to tackle all the markets, rest of the world. So every time we go into German Spain, I always asking, what do you need to succeed? Okay. First of all, we always have local competitors. Can you believe it? This local, so why I want to say is localities is they are local competitors. They know what the local market needs. It may not need your grand scheme, but they are really the most important things. The second thing is locality. Is you cannot just take the big story and say, how are you assuming that's the best technology can fit? You cannot go that way again. You need to understand their local languages. German, you have to, Spanish, Italian, finally support the languages, because that's how they read their contents. That's how you can make the effectively communications. So I think locality, understand your local, understand how you need to do to make that market work is very important. And finally, I think it's really is a feedback loop. When you employ something, instead of just first selling, you need to really listen, understand if this is really meeting their needs, how you can pivot. And I think when you go to the markets, you 80% your core technology is really good enough, be flexible enough, you can config, you can actually do localization in order to scale first. Don't make any assumption about that market. Whoever working in Taiwan may not work for the rest of the world. So always go in, listen, provide a feedback loop process, and I think a long way.
Thank you. Eugene.
Okay. Nini already talking about a lot of going global, and I want to add something what I learned, because my second company happened to be this company, and then we go global and go into worldwide market, particularly in the United States. But can you have a slide? Sure. I mentioned about the four components for startup, and talent and the technology in Taiwan is we have abundance of good technology, okay? And going the worldwide market, getting the international money, and also knowing the worldwide market is hard. And also that when you start going global, you probably need a 10x money, okay? So you need to, but on the other hand, Taiwan's market is very small, global, okay? And I remember Chen Wufu, one of the famous guys in Silicon Valley, something about doing global. He said that technology is global and service is local. Actually, Nimi is saying about the same thing, right? It's you can do technology in Taiwan, okay? But if you want to get into the internet, to go there, okay? And then how to reduce the money, because it's takes so much money to creating the market and okay. And in my previous company, my second company, we start in Taiwan, and then it happened in the EDA, some users So we practice in Taiwan, and when the tool is quite ready, we think it's quite ready, then we go to the States, and we create office in Silicon Valley and building the team, and particularly in the business people, all in Silicon. Okay, for example, I'm heading the worldwide R&D. Okay, and then we hired a good architect and good business development people there. Okay, we visit all the companies, including Qualcomm, NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel, and we eventually we able to into all these companies. And it's very interesting. Once you sell your product into these big companies, your counter competition, their counter competition was, for example, I remember when we sell the product into Qualcomm, and then Samsung buying our product, because they asked when we in a meeting, they asked, did Qualcomm use your tool? We say yes. And then, they just go ahead to buy it. You don't need to do too much evaluation. That's the way the worldwide is, their competition. They try to know what their competition is doing, and then you can share some of the information. Okay, so that's what we did in TTA 5 years ago. And I remember I have an office there. They call me CEO of TTA. That's 5 years ago, right? So what TTA, one of the goal is international accelerator. So with their initial seed money, very few, but it's a seed money, and also all you need is use your network so that you can go out and to the international companies. And then, it's all, of course, depend on the international the company, what they need. You need to understand what they need. Okay? And lastly, very important is that when you go into a customer, what's the business model. You do the technology partnership, which is easier. Okay? But you need to find customers who want money, right? And then you can do OEM, ODM. A lot of our hardware company doing that, okay? And try our own brand. Your own is difficult, okay? But it's not achievable, not impossible. You can do it, okay? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So go ahead and consult DDA from day one, is what you mentioned. Okay, Luba.
I don't have good answer about this question because although we have 5 markets, Israel, China, Japan, Taiwan, and the United States, but all the markets are very different. They have different culture, and like Ning said, localization is the key. Take for example, for Japanese. If you want to do some business with Japanese company, you must have some guy very fluent in Japan. But if you want to make business with some Shanghai company or some Shenzhen company, maybe a short business trip, and the business trip is enough. Take for example, this Wednesday, I just fly to Shanghai and go back in Taiwan only in 1 day. Yeah, and I think different market, you need different approach because they have different culture and they have different style to do business. And I think the biggest challenge of us is try to figure out who is your sponsor in that company. Sometimes your sponsor may be their CEO, and also maybe just a small engineer. But the key is how to figure out who can sponsor you to do the business, and what kind of provide for that individual respectively, and how to enlarge your value from this individual to their whole company. That is key. I still learning, and I also very enjoy this process because doing business with different nations, people is a lot of fun, especially to do some business with. Sometimes even we sell the same product, but we need to use different, how to say that? We may need to use different skill. Take for example, if you want to sell my product to some China company, then my best step may be to figure out, to find out their CTO. But if I want to sell my product to the United States, the only way is make their engineer love my product. Yeah, so it's so different. Yeah, hopefully this helps. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so finding the right is very important. Thank you. Okay, so next, it will be my favorite part because we will allow all of you to ask questions to our panelists. So please don't be shy. It's your time and go ahead. If you have any specific panelists, just please speak out. Any? Oh, over there.
I have a question for Roy. Thank you for your sharing. This, I'm impressed of your QI incubation in Taiwan. I believe you are familiar with Taiwan's incubation environment. As our Mr. Wu and NSTC mentioned this morning, in next step, Taiwan government to introduce global excellent startups come over to Taiwan for engagement with local manufacturer. My question for you is there any suggestion from your point of view to give us the in building up the good, better infrastructure for attracting the global come over? What's your opinions? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Can you hear me? Yeah, that's an excellent question. It's actually a question I face from many startups in India, in Taiwan, in Vietnam, in other countries. So let me actually take you to the Guangdong area, the Shenzhen Guangzhou province area, right? To get a PCB manufactured in Guangdong, you have multiple providers. If you want one component, you have 10 providers for the tolerances, right? PCBs get designed very accurately in good quantity at the MOQ you want, right? And speed and flexibility is the reason why global startups continue to go to Guangzhou. Nothing wrong with it, absolutely nothing wrong. What happens in Taiwan is that the MOQ quantity is very big. The scaling requirement is very big. So how can we solve that problem? Let's say, design services that can offer in smaller MOQ that can aggregate, right? I'm not saying we have to replicate what's available in Guangzhou. Nobody in the world can match what China has been able to achieve, right? But in our own way, we can provide design services for startups to be able to start out small. At that, they'll come back to you for more services, right? So what I've seen in Taiwan, the problem is that you have giants over here, Foxconn, Compal, and they're all my good partners and customers. Very difficult for a startup to, I cannot introduce. Foxconn will say, look, I'm sorry, this is too small of a business for me, right? So that would be my suggestion, to attract startups. Let's try to bridge them with some design services, aggregate the volumes. Yeah.
Thank you, Sudeep, for a very insightful comment. Any of the panelists want to add on? Or shall we move on to the next question?
Yes, I have a question. Taiwan is very strong in hardware. I think that we are very strong in global stage. However, Taiwan kind of weak in for software startup. But if you look at the trend, the speaker talked about trend. Trend is on the software. All the top 10 companies in the world is more on the software side. So my question is that, okay, in order to go global, should we choose the US as our first target company, software startup. Or a lot of other software companies try to look for the Southeast Asia or Japan. Which way is a better way? If I look at the opinions that we should fight for US, but apparently there's a big barrier there. What kind of things we can do or the government can do to help Taiwan to succeed in the US? Thank you.
So I believe Ning will be the first one to answer this one.
Shouldn't be here. When I take I asked who are my audience, and Roberto told me that majority of the TTA startups you guys incubate are software companies. Okay, and that's why I'm very encouraged. I think Taiwan had the talents, and software have a much influence if you understand the customer needs. Okay, I'm very impressed with Taiwan's qualities, especially, and Professor Lin, educates so many talented software engineers too. So now the key is to build and which market you want to go. And I think, as I said, for Taiwan geographics, you do have advantages in our neighbors, so in the South Asia. The advantage is that you're more advanced than the human, so we can step in and then come up with the solutions. But the market is much smaller. Okay, so if you realize first, services actually can be generalized. It's a global topics and something there's in rest of the world. I think you should take some risk and build your vision and communicate to VCs and take chance. I show it, one of the startups is really doing AIs, how to manage the data. And they are the day one solution, no one else has it, into all the landscapes. They decide to come to United States. And at the beginning, they want to license, and when they start talking open source, as a software company, they can get momentum, and they're building that right now. So I think, again, based on what's your visions, what problem work that is, and if you really believe, if you do your homework, you find out your calling, I think you should definitely go global. Do not limit yourself to the or the neighboring country.
Thank you, Ning. So for the interest of time, I was told we need to end this forum as possible. So finally, I will give each of you 1 minute just to offer your last suggestion to our audience, and we will start from.
I may not need a full minute. I'll just say that early stage startups are vital to the planet, not only just to Taiwan as a country. I think most of the risky ideas will be early stage startups. And the planet, even if 90% fail, right? The fact that they have, even in failure, there is learning, right? So I really admire Taiwan that allows early stage startups to come up. So please continue that.
Thank you.
Thanks to STCs. The reason I'm sitting here is, at a certain point in my career, I realized Taiwan have the best talent. Okay, when STC sent out some AI scientists to Tabulat, and we are actually a PKs with the rest of the world, the best R&Ds from Israel, US, and we beat them all. So what I see is Taiwan has the best human capitals. The people work hard. We have the culture, want to do team, and we have the hard science. So I think we have all the basic elements. Now we need to have strategy. And when we go out looking for needs, provide the values. And I'm very confident, Taiwanese startup company can go global. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think that Taiwan has a talent and technology, okay? And I think the next step, if you want to go out, get international money. And the international money will tell you where to go, okay? Because if you get, say, Singapore money, they will ask you to go to India, to Thailand, to Yunnan, and then you based on the Singapore. And if you get the money from the U.S., they probably go United States. Okay, thank you.
I think Taiwan has a very good ecosystem, especially for the semiconductor industry, talent. And I think the key is how to turn these technical geeks, make them follow the money, follow the technology. I think that is the key. But how to turn them from the technical guy to the money guy, how to turn all my engineers as sales. Yeah, it's difficult, but Taiwanese level, maybe one day just put them to the market, then they start to sell your product. Yeah, just follow money, I think. Yeah, this thing I think is good for many startups, especially when you are making semiconductor related software. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think this will end our forum. And big applause to all the panelists. And thank all the audience with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lin. Let's welcome our Director Xu up to stage and take a picture with the panelists to confirm for this afternoon. And thank you all for showing up. And we do have afternoon tea set for you. So welcome to go out and enjoy your afternoon tea set. And tomorrow we also have the XYZ forum, connecting technologies, people with different generation in S Hotel at 3 p.m. S Hotel is 1 block away from TTA there. And we are also going live tomorrow on YouTube channel and TDA's Facebook page. Thank you, Ning. Thank you, Director Xu. Thank you, Mr. Roy, Professor Lin, CEO Xu, and Lupa. And now we would like to ask everybody to move yourself to the afternoon tea because we're going to bring the whole set to S Hotel right now. We're going to move the whole set to S Hotel and we'll be on for the XYZ forum at 3 p.m. afternoon in S Hotel. S Hotel is 1 block away from TTA. And after the XYZ, we have the after party, our birthday after party, right after the XYZ forum. So welcome, dress casually, have S Hotel. In order to get in the S Hotel, your patch is your ticket to enter the party. So I'm Dennis. I was tomorrow, 3 p.m. in the S Hotel. Let's party tomorrow. Have fun. Let's go out and mingle, chat, make connection, grab meeting for some private chatting, and the afternoon tea set is ready for you. I'm Dennis. See you tomorrow.
Wait.